Hey YouTube, David here. Welcome to the movie review of The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, The Amazing Spider-Man is a reboot of the original trilogy by Sam Raimi, with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and with Kristen Dunst, I believe her name was, playing Mary Jane, blah blah blah. So this is kind of like a whole new look on it and just brand new, but it's still Spider-Man. And when this was announced, like a lot of people kind of had mixed feelings with it. Then like, oh, why they're rebooting trilogy after it ended just so recently? But some people kind of gave it a positive look because they didn't really see the Sam Raimi Spider-Man as an accurate portrayal of Spider-Man from the comics. I kind of fall in between of it because I wanted a new Spider-Man movie because after getting more into the comics, I kind of realized the Sam Raimi Spider-Man wasn't the Spider-Man from the comics. Like, he wasn't the funny, witty Peter Parker the people following comics have learned to love, which I've learned to love. So this new Spider-Man fill the shoes, meet expectations, and make us comic book fans happy. Well, stay tuned and find out. So before we get any deeper, I want to warn you that if you've never seen a Spider-Man story, you know nothing about Spider-Man, there might be minor spoilers, but if you know about Spider-Man, you've seen the original trilogy, then there won't really be spoilers. So this time around, Spider-Man is being played by Andrew Garfield, and alongside him, instead of having Mary Jane, we have Gwen Stacy, being played by Emma Stone. Now, the chemistry between these two work really well in this movie, and you see that throughout the entire film. Not just between these two characters, but with everyone else, like Uncle Ben, May Parker, blah blah. They're all relatable, and they just work well together. For a scene that's pretty famous in all Spider-Man is Uncle Ben's death. Well, Uncle Ben's death in this movie was a lot more emotional than it was in the original movie. In the original movie, I was a little bit younger, yes, but when I watched it, I didn't really feel like an emotional attachment to Uncle Ben. When he died, it was just like, oh, he died, yeah. But in this movie, when I saw it, when Uncle Ben died, I felt sad about it. It kind of shook me a bit. I was expecting it, being a Spider-Man fan. I was expecting Uncle Ben to die, but when it happened, I still felt that sadness. It was just a lot more emotional. So being a superhero movie, you have to expect there's a lot of fight scenes, a lot of action. And they're all choreographed beautifully. Sure, a lot of it's CG, but it still works. But now comparing the fight scenes from this movie to the previous trilogy from Sam Raimi, the fight scenes in The Amazing Spider-Man trumps any fight scene I've seen in the past movie. For a word, it's more spidery, if you can say. You see Spider-Man act a little bit more like a spider, fighting more like you would think a guy with spider powers would fight instead of just throwing punches and kicks all over the place. You see him being flexible and using his webbing in very smart ways. It just worked for me. So being a Spider-Man film, you expect it to be funny because Spider-Man's a trash talker. He makes jokes. He likes to talk and annoy the crap out of his opponents, and we see that. Unlike the Sam Raimi films where he barely cracked a joke, if memory serves me correctly, we get a funny Peter Parker here. He's witty. And he doesn't talk to the point where he starts annoying the audience. It's just enough so it gets some humor in. We have a good laugh. And speaking of getting laughs, this movie is actually really funny. There's a lot of comic relief going on, but it's still dark and serious. Again, Uncle Ben's death and some other later scenes, which I'm not gonna spoil, obviously. But it was funny. It was great. So how good was The Amazing Spider-Man? I'm probably gonna get flamed for this, but I want to say that The Amazing Spider-Man was better than any of the movies from the past trilogy. Some might disagree with me, and we're all entitled to our own opinion, obviously, but for me being a big Spider-Man fan, The Amazing Spider-Man is a Spider-Man film I've been wanting to see for a while. It was funny, great action, the characters were all relatable, you felt the emotional tie to all of them, it just felt great. And honestly, there's nothing I want to nitpick about. It was great. I had a good time watching it. I'm probably gonna watching it again soon just to find out if I missed anything. But all in all, great movie. Go see it. Oh, and one more thing. When you do go see this, in somewhere in the middle of the credits, there is an extra scene. So stay in the theater, watch that one extra scene so you don't miss out. So have you seen The Amazing Spider-Man? If you have, comment below. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Do you prefer the original trilogy to this one, or do you agree with me saying this is the best Spider-Man film ever, or whatever? So that's pretty much it from me. Thanks for watching. See you guys later. Peace.